Nice Shorts theme song.
Nice shorts. Yeah.
James Siewert, hey,
Yeah, that's my name. How you doing? Thanks for having me,
good.
guys.
This year he's going to present a music video called Tender. If you can have 3 words for the audience to know how they are going to expect about the music video, what kind of 3 words you'll pop out to them?
Okay. Accumulation would be one.
Okay, okay.
Um, rotation, maybe.
Oh, for
Mhm.
sure, yeah.
And let's make them all rhyme. Let's go with degradation. Accumulation, rotation, and degradation.
How does this project, how does this collaboration start?
Yeah, I feel like I made a crowdfunding campaign a couple years ago for a movie I'm still working on.
Mhm.
And whatever with those crowdfunding things, you're trying to do something wacky pretty quickly that you might get some people's attention or, make them think, wow, it's a special thing to give money to or whatever. And so I made this sort of rotating platform, and then I had the printouts of this BTS material on the platform and got really interested in this idea of like animation where you'd like have a kind of a 2D thing that was animated, or it could be live action, but you print out a bunch of these 2D things, and then that kind of card moves around in space or is like transformed in certain ways in relationship to the camera, and it forms this kind of snake or trail or kind of slinky type thing. So I like made that quickly for the crowdfunding campaign, but then I was like thinking that it was an interesting phenomenon, or something I wanted to do more with. And so I was talking to he's mostly a filmmaker, Larry Fessenden. He's a kind of a indie horror guy and a big mentor for me.
Mm.
um, and he's also a musician, had a song coming out, and I'd already thought about the idea of using this kind of stack up thing to build some kind of Tower of Babel, or like some, I mean, ultimately if the platform is rotating, then the structure needs to be kind of rotationally symmetric in some way. So the Tower of Babel, that painting kind of was like, that would be a cool structure to emerge from this process in some way.
Hmm.
And he had this song called Tender, which was really just all about how society has gone completely off the rails. And like at the beginning of the day, there's the possibilities seem endless, and
Yeah.
they just dwindle down and down and down. And eventually, in this country, it feels like maybe we're at like 9 p.m. So it's maybe time to start winding it down in terms of the great American experiment. Anyway, the point is that was what the song was about. And then he himself was saying like, oh yeah, like we were talking about the Tower of Babel as maybe being like the cover image of
Hmm.
the album or being associated with a single or something. So I was like, well, that's a kind of a crazy kismet type thing.
That's a wild
So
coincidence.
yeah, it is a wild coincidence. I mean, I think there was a feeling of like that's that like the it's in the air.
Yeah.
We're thinking about the Tower of Babel as we build this ballroom or whatever we're doing right now. I think that like just the way that rotation looks is evergreen. This idea of kind of returning to the same point over and over again, but with additional context, additional layers, that kind of helical spiral of experience, I think, is like always going to be rich for something.
Yeah.
Oh,
It goes with their
okay.
keywords, kind of like an Ouroboros of animation. You get the accumulation to degradation just going around. I'm really curious how you timed out to make
Mm.
sure that you had it going the right way as far as time, and how many frames you had left, and
Mm.
how you would get exactly done in time at the song conclusion.
There's probably like an A, B, and C to the answer, which is there was a rough animatic. It was really, really rough that basically was just like, said that it starts looking down on the title and then a tree comes out. And that kind of was like, saw what kind of speed the rotation needed to be to kind of feel like the song a little. So it ended up being like, okay, like one time around is about 300 frames, maybe it was like 290 something. The video was sort of figured out as it was made. So like beginning of the wall is not very well animated, and like the tree is kind of janky. And then once I got to the second layer, I was like, okay, I actually kind of understand the space
Hmm.
of kind of how to populate the frame, and the arches can grow here, but make room for whatever sort of flavor of the moment we need to put on the other side of the frame to kind of correspond with the lyrics. Once you got to that second layer, I was like, okay, I kind of understand the lay of the land a little. And then you can start to like play with it and understand, okay, well, he says the weather has a temper at frame, 2756. So the camera has to hit there by that time. It's all pretty
Yeah.
loosey goosey. Like it was kind of like, oh, we got 30 frames to get there. Okay, we better start moving it. Then you go into After Effects and you track everything and then stable it out so it makes it feel like a slightly more.
Feel like a game. Like, oh,
Yeah.
at a certain point you need to hit here. Oh, the camera is going to be here. Let's go to there, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did Frogger. Yeah, like that's kind of like it.
Originally, I was like, oh, I'll get this done in 3 weeks. So I was kind of like really rushed the beginning. And then you're like, ugh, it's not really working very well. It's not very good. So then you're like, okay, I'll fix this. I'll take this, take a little more time with this. I'll like get this going. At a certain point, you're like, okay, it's going to take a lot longer, but it actually could be kind of cool.
Right.
Then I had a video where I felt like everything past, a minute in was pretty good. And
Mm.
I had this like kind of crappy minute. So then I redid the titles, and that's why the beginning is more like construction paper, and certain things, like certain lyrics that I was off by a couple frames, I had to go in and just kind of VFX his face to be a little different in those parts. And so it was a thing of like kind of planning a little too not enough, but a little bit, and then fixing some mistakes that kind of made it feel like one thing.
Were you able to undo stuff if you needed to? Or was it kind of prohibitive the way it was shot?
I mean, it was the sculpture always grows. That's the concept. And I think again, like with this kind of project, it's so much a mental game of like
Hmm.
the idea of going back
Hmm.
is so discouraging
Right.
that you'd rather fix it later or add some other layer later, or kind of do some other element to fix the problem than like actively try and disassemble the thing and move the platform back to where it was. I mean, I think I individually took like a frames over if I wasn't happy with them, or I went back a couple, but like the idea of redoing like 100 frames, like it was not, it was, that would be too much to just
I, I don't know how you
some.
would do that.
Yeah, I think again, a lot of these things are mental games, and it's just like whatever the thing that kind of keeps you the morale high enough to keep
Mm.
going is the thing you have to do.
I'm curious while watching, when you think, hey, there's a new idea, it'll fit great for this moment of the music. Is that you pop out the idea and people start to say, okay, then we need to make more art for this session. Like you think about it and you need to go to make it kind of process?
I think that like the people that are in the credits, it wasn't like there was a consistent team or crew or anything. Really, it was me and Walker. Walker was the producer, and he was a guy that worked with Larry, and Larry thought would want to help out with the project.
Cool credits, by the way.
Oh yeah, thank you. What really happened
Mm.
was I think that I had like some friends drop by and be like, "Oh, do you want to animate a little today?" And like, this is what we're doing. And so Ruth came by and helped us with the opening credits, and then my friend Auden came by closer to New Year's, and I was building the city, and he animated a little car exploding, and he helped me mount the cash register, and then where there was a kind of a push was like we had to get out of, again, like we really couldn't afford to rent the studio anymore. So, and we just, for a number of reasons, you just have to be done at a certain point. And if you look at the amount of the structure that is done, the like ending layer cake thing is like, 10 things tall. It's like 10 of those little circles. So there's obviously a lot that happened in between there. So that was like Walker called all his friends, and he like is connected with this kind of amazing art space in Brooklyn, Godspeed, and there's like a lot of production designers and cool people that are around there. And we just got pizzas and beer, and there was like a couple of days where we're like, project finish the tower. So it wasn't like a structured film shoot. It was like how you imagine an art project really being, like where like people stop by and help, and then there's a scramble at a certain point.
There's a shot. Okay, so there's a lot going on, but there's a leaf that falls that it looks like it's replacement animation, photographed, printed, and then done in After Effects almost overlay, and then falls, and then you do the prints. Like, what the hell did you do with that leaf?
Yes, that was another sort of kick the can down the road situation where, so yeah, so Larry, for the most part, he was like, go do whatever you want. But he had a few things that he was like really, that were really guiding principles for me and Walker. One was this tree grows at the beginning, and that the single leaf falls, and from that sort of seed of that single whatever moment, this whole kind of bullshit grows out of that. And then he also wanted the fire. He was like, it has to burn down in some way that's sort of not fresh, in the way that stop motion can be kind of a little too cute or something. It was like, it has to kind of actually just fall apart at the end. There needs to be some violence. So those were his kind of principles. The fact was, I told Larry, I was like, kind of like, getting the leaf to look not shitty is too hard. But what we should do is just put the leaf there on the tree and then pan down to nothing, have the amount of time that we're going to take, and then put another identical leaf on the ground. And then I will, in Blender, I'll animate this leaf, and then we'll print out all those frames, cut them out, and stick them on top, and it will feel kind of DIY and of the world.
Okay.
These were pragmatic decisions.
Oh
It was
my
cool.
gosh.
So that was how you did it.
I think I think I already knew, but I was like, man, I love these things. It was like
Hmm.
building with coffee stirrers. Is like I was just like, coffee stirrers are the future. Like they're the past, present, and future. They should have the position that popsicle sticks have in like the sort of idea of craft construction. Like I feel like when I was a kid, people were always like, oh, you can make this out of popsicle sticks, or build the thing out of popsicle sticks. And I was like, coffee stirrers are like really what popsicle sticks purport to be, which is like this you can kind of make anything out of them. Like I was making this little city in the video right before it gets the cash register, and I was like, you could just keep going with these. I feel like there's like some version of the movie that's like 10 minutes long, and it's just like more civilization, and it falls apart, and you could do it all with coffee stirrers. So I love coffee stirrers. That was my like trick.
So I know a lot of stop motion animators like to keep part of their set or a part of a puppet or something. Did you keep any of that? Because that was huge. It was one big thing in the end. Like, did you keep any of it as like a keepsake or?
No, I relished destroying it.
Get it burned?
Well, no,
Your
it didn't get
entropy. I
burned.
like
It
it.
didn't get burned because that was its own part, and of course that
Okay.
doesn't exist. But I have the desk. Actually, the desk I have was a metal desk we used to burn it on, and that's my work desk. So in some ways, that's a remnant. But I feel like basically the studio, it couldn't fit. We just did the math on it, and there was no way to move the thing out of the studio. I just took that as a sign from the universe that it should be destroyed. And I think I do have the video of me kicking it over, and it does like kind of break in a satisfying way.
Oh
I,
wow.
I'm pretty sure entropy is like your motto. I
Yeah,
like
I
it.
mean, I think that again, I think it's like I like the idea that the thing exists for its purpose in the video, and it's not something else. It's not like for a sculpture. It's not going to be exhibited somewhere. Like it only exists to is in its sort of photographic form.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I'll cherish that music video, like watch it more and also the behind the scenes. We're so lucky to have you. Do you have final words for the audience, like they are going to see on a big screen at OMSI?
The first movie I ever saw in 1994, when I was
Okay.
4 years old,
Ah,
I
okay.
saw at that OMSI in the sort of the dome iteration of the thing. It was a one of those nature documentaries about volcanoes, and it was fucking terrifying to a 4-year-old.
Oh
It was like
no.
really scared the shit out of me. I think I watched about half of it. My mom took me
Oh.
out, but I applied to the festival without realizing that it was going to screen at OMSI, but it is like very meaningful to me,
Mm.
Yeah.
that theater. And like, I think my mom is going to come to the screening, and like, I still kind of remember that theatrical experience of like what the movies could be, which is just so big and confusing and wild that like it really scrambles and reorders your brain. And like, so it means a lot to me to screen there.
Everything feels 10